Yep. Sorry I'm late, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I fell asleep, so I'm a day late. It's all good. But Nas, it was written. This is one of my favorite albums, as well as Illmatic. I remember having this shit. I bought it in like '98, and I enjoyed a lot of the tracks off here. You know what I mean? To me, his earlier work is his best work. His first two albums was dope, and about after that, I didn't really listen to Nas really like that no more. You know what I mean? I think after it was written came, let me see, Nostradamus, I do believe, or was it I Am? I think it was I Am the Nostradamus or Nostradamus I Am, whatever the case may be. Once I heard that song in to the A to the S, like Nostradamus, I wasn't feeling that shit. Y'all know what it is, but this album right here was just phenomenal from beginning to end. It's like two songs I really was like, I thought that was okay. And y'all niggas probably gonna be like, you sound crazy. Like track 7, Nas is coming featuring Dr. Dre. I just didn't feel like that was really an East Coast record. And Live Nigga Rap featuring Mobb Deep. It was cool, you know what I'm saying? But back then, it's like, you know what I mean? 1998, 99, I was into like other shit. But far as everything else in the project, I mean, it was dope. It opens up the intro, you know what I mean? Just imagining being on a slave plantation, you know, and then it cuts off from that to Nas and AG having a conversation, goes right into the message, you know what I mean, which is dramatic beat, some descriptive lyrics, you know what I mean? I definitely enjoyed that hook, and just his overall lyrical ability on that song was simply amazing. Then it goes into Street Dreams. That was actually one of my favorite songs, but I didn't like how he jacked the All Eyes on Me beat, and my little brother, my older brother, and them hated this nigga Nas for that shit. Like they hated that song. They didn't get a nigga no props for that shit. You know what I mean? But I actually liked it. I think this the video that had the casino visual. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the video for it was crazy, and that he used a casino type vibe for it, and you know what I mean. Just overall, I enjoyed the song. I thought the hook was catchy and shit. You know what I mean. Just street dreams, says, you know what I mean. You got dreams of just making it out the hood, making money, doing whatever you got to do. You know what I mean. At a young age, that's how I interpret it. And then track 4. It was crazy because even at a young age, you listen to it, you can tell it's a concept song about a gun. He basically, you know what I'm saying, I gave you power. It's meaning, you know, he's referencing a gun in a sense. But as you get older and go back to it, you like, damn, that's kind of ill as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I mean, back then you smart, you could figure out what he's talking about, but you don't put it together till you get older. But that shit was dope as fuck. I definitely enjoyed the beat. You know, and I remember this that whole title of the song. A lot of artists, you know, put that, you know, in their music. And I remember Royce said that, like some like Nas, I gave you power. It's like I turned myself into a gun or something like Nas, and I gave you power or something like that. To that fact, I was like, wow, that song's incredible. And then they go Watch Them Niggas featuring Foxy Brown, just basically a real record. Cause you gotta watch niggas you be around you. You know, you think for a nigga for a second, a nigga's your homie, and then you be the same one put a bullet in your head. You dig? So it's some real lyrics on there, some street tales on there. I definitely like the jazziness of the beat. It was dope. Take It in Blood is another smooth record, you know what I mean, storytelling. He did a lot of storytelling on this album, you know what I mean. The lyrics was deep, heartfelt, you know, I love that sample. And I thought it was a good record, you know, going into track 7, like I said, I thought it was okay, you know what I mean. A lot of niggas didn't really feel the Dr. Dre fucking with Nas. I know Pac didn't, you know, and shit like that, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, you know. Going into Affirmative Action featuring The Firm, that song was raw as fuck. But to me, I always wondered who had the best verse on that song. You know what I mean? Even listening to it now, it's like, damn, they all had great verses, but who the hell had the, you know, the best verse on there? But that still was a strong song. The setup featuring Havoc, you know what I mean? Dark beat, great storytelling, raw lyrics, good content. You know what I mean? Nas just at storytelling in his early career was just simply amazing. Just you can visualize everything he's saying, you know what I mean? Especially if you done been through some shit. And I thought that was incredible. Now we're getting to track 10, which is one of my favorite records off this album. Black Girl Lost, you know what I mean? You already know this about just females that's just in a hood or in areas and just lost. Just out here doing shit for money, tricking, only dealing with balling type niggas and selling they pussy and just doing all type of foul shit when in a sense, you know what I mean, you're a black queen, you know, you should cherish yourself, you know what I mean? If you want to be respected, you gotta first respect yourself. And that song always stood out to me. And I used to always have that song playing anytime I was on the phone with a chick or something like that. And I always be like, yo, what is that? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's Nas, you know, Black Girl Lost and shit. And motherfuckers like, what you trying to say? I'm lost. It's like, nah, listen to the lyrics. And it was just, I remember this one time, this one girl had just heard it, and she was just like, you kind of deep. And I'm like, why you say that? She like, because I hear the lyrics. Like, that's why I wasn't saying something. I'm listening to the song in the background. That's like some. That's just basically just say it's not something that she was used to hearing from niggas, you know, around that age. You know what I mean? And for me to be that young to understand a concept like that is just crazy. But that's a dope song. It's like one of my favorite all time Nas songs forever. Going into Suspect, you know what I mean? Basically, keep your mouth shut, you know what I mean? Don't be snitching, you know what I mean? Suspects, it ain't safe to come outside, you feel me? That was like, damn, this nigga is crazy on this record. Then going into Shootouts. This shit is another one of my favorite because the storytelling was so insane and it's like it's so descriptive and it's like shit. He literally can tell you he can turn one day of his life into an actual song, and I'm like, this nigga Nas is just crazy. I mean, some would still say that this is arguably better than Illmatic, but I still say it ain't. You know what I mean? Then it goes into Live Nigga Rap feature Mobb Deep. Like I said, it was okay. And the last track, of course, the biggest song that kicked off the whole project, If I Ruled the World feature Lauryn Hill. Simply amazing song, production, hook, visual was dope. I mean, nobody seen this coming. You know I didn't. You dig? And once this dropped, everybody loved this song. I don't care if you was on the West Coast, the East Coast, the Midwest. This just was a song for everybody. You know what I mean? But overall, Nas' sophomore album was definitely dope. You know what I mean? I give it a 8.5 out of 10. I definitely love 12 of the 14 records. Production was on point. I give it a 9 out of 10. But it just still one of the albums to where you kind of seen the way times was changing and you see how his music was starting to shift to something different. His popularity really wasn't there. I mean, he still put out great bodies of work. Like Nostradamus wasn't that bad, you know what I mean, with some joints on it I felt was cool. I never heard I Am ever in my life, you know, I still gotta get that record, and I never heard the Queenbridge album. But Lost Tapes, it was written. Illmatic, some of my favorite albums from Nas, not to include Stillmatic, you know, Life is Good, Hip Hop is Dead, Untitled, and the double CD he put out I even bought. But that's just my take on Nas. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, this is still one of my favorite albums today. That's why I rebought it, 3 times? So yeah, man, that should let you know that I'm a Nas fan. One.